Most cars don't get less reliable as they age. They get less reliable the day they're designed. Somewhere in a boardroom, somebody decides to add a feature that sells the car on the lot and quietly costs you a fortune 10 years later. The engineers know exactly which ones do it. I've spent more than 2 decades pulling these systems apart on the bench, and the most dangerous features on your car aren't the ones that break loudly. They're the ones the brochure called upgrades. Today, I'm counting down 9 of them, from merely annoying to outright ruinous, and you'll want to check whether yours has one. Stay for number 1, because it isn't a part you can see or a button you can press. It's a single sentence buried in your owner's manual, and it has wrecked more transmissions than any mechanical fault I've ever diagnosed. Ignoring it costs you nothing. Number 9, auto start stop. Let's start with the feature that fights you at every red light. Auto start stop shuts the engine off when you roll to a stop and fires it back up the instant you lift off the brake. The brochure sells it as free fuel savings. Here's what the brochure leaves out. Every one of those shutdowns and restarts is another cycle on the starter and another jolt to the engine bearings at the exact moment oil pressure is at its lowest. A part that used to cycle a handful of times a day now cycles dozens of times on a single commute. I've had plenty of these cars on the lift with starters and batteries worn out years before they should be. The ones whose owners left start-stop running look tired inside. The ones who switched it off every drive don't. Manufacturers braced the starter and fitted a pricier battery to survive it, but bracing for abuse isn't the same as preventing it. Drop a comment below. Does your car kill the engine at every light, and do you actually trust it when you're pulling into a busy intersection? Be honest. The fix is the easiest one on this whole list. Most cars have a start-stop button you can press at the beginning of every drive to shut it off. And when that battery finally quits, expect to pay around $487 for the correct heavy-duty replacement instead of a cheap one that won't survive the winter. Number 8, touchscreen controlled climate and basic functions. Walk through any new car lot and you'll notice the dashboards have gone smooth. The knobs and buttons that used to run your heat, your defroster, and your heated seats have been swallowed by one big touchscreen. It looks clean and modern, and that's exactly the problem. Here's what they don't put in the ad. A single screen is cheaper to build than 3 dozen switches and dials, so the bean counters love it. The catch is that it turns every basic function into a hostage of one expensive computer. When that screen freezes, you don't just lose your music. You can lose your defroster on a fogged-up windshield. Think about your own car for a second. If the screen went black tomorrow morning, how much of your dashboard would stop working? On a lot of newer models, the honest answer is most of it, and the people who learn that usually learn it at the worst possible moment. The fix starts before you ever own the car. If you're buying used, sit in it and run every climate and comfort function through that screen before you sign a thing, because a dead infotainment module can run you $1,290 and it never fails on a convenient day. On the car you already have, keep the software current and don't let a cheap aftermarket head unit talk you into a problem you didn't have. Number 7, electronic parking brakes. For 100 years, the parking brake was a lever or a pedal tied to a simple steel cable. Pull it, the cable tugs, the brake holds. Then it shrank into a little button on the dash, and behind that button sits an electric motor built into each rear caliper. Here's the part that should bother you. That old cable, if it ever stuck, costs next to nothing to free up or replace. The electronic version bakes the parking function into the caliper itself. So when the motor or actuator fails, you're not fixing a cable. You're buying a whole assembly. Worse, it can fail with the brake clamped on, which means the car isn't moving until someone fixes it. A retired teacher near Tucson brought me her RAV4 after the parking brake light started flashing and the rear wheels locked up right in her driveway. The actuator had seized. There was no cable to free and no adjustment to make, just an $874 repair to replace the unit before she could drive the car at all. The fix here is mostly awareness. Keep your rear brakes clean and serviced so corrosion never creeps into the mechanism. Never ignore that parking brake warning light when it first flickers. And if you're shopping, know that this bit of convenience carries a repair bill the old cable never had. That next one isn't hidden in the brakes or the dash though. It's riding on all 4 corners right now. Number 6, run flat tires. Run flat tires have sidewalls reinforced stiff enough to carry the car a short distance after they've lost all their air. Automakers pair them with a deleted spare and sell the combination as a safety upgrade. What they've really handed you is a stiffer ride, faster wear, and a tire you usually can't repair. Here's the quiet part. Deleting the spare saves the manufacturer weight and money and nudges the fuel economy number up a hair, and the run flat is what fills the gap. You pay more for the tires, you lose the cheap backup in the trunk, and those rigid sidewalls hammer your suspension bushings and struts harder than a normal tire ever would. Picture 2 identical sedans that came through in the same month. One still wears its factory run flats. The other had conventional tires fitted at the last replacement and a compact spare tucked in the trunk. The run-flat car rides rough and its fronts are already cupping at low mileage, while the converted car rides softer, wears evenly, and cost its owner $317 less per corner at the last swap. The fix is a choice you make at replacement time. When the run flats wear out, you can switch to quality conventional tires and carry a plug kit and a small inflator, or a compact spare if there's room for one. Just know the dashboard will nag you about tire pressure monitoring until the system relearns. A few $100s a corner stings, but it's nothing next to what's coming, because the next feature doesn't wear out slowly. It fails in 4 figures and takes the engine down with it. Number 5. Turbocharged small displacement engines. This is the one that keeps me up at night because it's in almost everything now. To pass tighter fuel and emissions targets, automakers shrank their engines, a 1.5-liter 4 where a V6 used to sit, and bolted on a turbocharger to win the power back. On the window sticker, it reads as efficiency. Under the hood, it's a small engine being asked to do a big engine's job all day under pressure. Here's what that downsizing actually costs you. A turbo forces more air, more heat, and more cylinder pressure into a smaller block, and heat is what kills engines. The turbo itself spins past 100,000 revolutions per minute and runs glowing hot, so if the oil isn't perfect or you shut the engine off the second you park after a hard pull, the oil bakes solid inside the turbo bearing and starts the failure clock. None of that was happening in the lazy old 6 that made the same horsepower without breaking a sweat. Let me tell you about the one I can't forget. A building contractor outside Cleveland brought me his Equinox after it started smoking on the highway and lost power climbing an on-ramp. The turbo had failed and fed its own debris back through the engine. By the time the smoke cleared, he wasn't looking at a turbo bill. He was looking at $3,650 for the turbo and the engine damage that came with it, on a truck he still owed money on. The fix is discipline, and it genuinely works. Change the oil more often than the manual stretched out interval, and only ever use the exact synthetic spec the engine calls for, because cheap or wrong oil is what cokes a turbo. After hard driving or a long climb, give it 30 seconds at idle before you shut it down, so the turbo can cool with oil still flowing. Treated that way, these engines can go the distance, but the next feature attacks from a direction no oil change can reach. Number 4. Direct injection. The Society of Automotive Engineers has documented something that quietly separates modern engines from the ones they replaced. Direct injection engines build up carbon deposits on their intake valves that the older designs simply never got. That isn't a maintenance opinion, it's a known consequence of how the fuel gets delivered. Here's the mechanism and why it matters to you. For decades, engines sprayed fuel into the intake port, and that fuel constantly washed the back of the intake valves clean with its detergents. Direct injection sprays the fuel straight into the cylinder instead, which is more efficient, but now nothing rinses those valves. Oil vapor from the engine's own ventilation system drifts across them and bakes into hard carbon, layer on layer, until the airflow chokes down. What you feel is a car that slowly goes wrong for no obvious reason. A rough idle, a stumble on acceleration, a misfire code, fuel mileage creeping the wrong way, somewhere past 70 or 80,000 miles. Nothing is broken exactly. The engine is just trying to breathe through valves caked in soot. The fix is a service most owners have never heard of. Every 60 to 80,000 miles, those intake valves can be cleaned by walnut blasting them, literally firing crushed walnut shell at the carbon to knock it loose. For around $623 at a shop that knows what it's doing. Run quality top-tier fuel and stay on top of your oil changes to slow the buildup in between. The next feature doesn't choke slowly like this one does. It's the box bolted behind the engine, the one the manufacturer swears you never have to touch. Quick favor before we hit the top 3. If knowing this is going to spare you a repair you never saw coming, take 1 second and tap subscribe. It's free, and it's the only thing that keeps videos like this one getting made. Number 3. CVT transmissions. A continuously variable transmission throws out the fixed gears you grew up with and runs a steel belt riding between 2 adjustable pulleys. It's smooth, it's efficient, and on the right vehicle it's perfectly fine. On the wrong one, it's one of the most expensive ways a modern car can fail. Here's what the smoothness hides. That belt and pulley setup lives and dies by its fluid and its temperature, and a lot of these units run hot and cook that fluid faster than anyone wants to admit. When a conventional automatic ages out, a good shop can usually rebuild it. When many CVTs fail, there's nothing to rebuild. You replace the entire unit. I've had more CVTs on my lift in the last few years than any other kind of transmission, and the pattern is grimly consistent. They start with a faint shudder at low speed, like the car is rolling over rumble strips that aren't there. The fluid that drains out is dark and smells scorched. Not long after the shudder shows up, the slipping begins, and once it slips, the clock is running on a 4-figure replacement. The fix is almost laughable by comparison, and it flies in the face of what the manual tells you. Change that CVT fluid on a short interval, every 30 to 40,000 miles, with the exact fluid the transmission specifies, and you keep it cool and clean enough to go the distance. A fluid service is pocket change against the $4,920 a replacement CVT runs. And that brings us to the worst offender of them all at number 1, because everything I just told you about changing that fluid is the exact thing your manufacturer is quietly betting you'll never do. Number 2, cylinder deactivation. Here's a feature you probably can't even feel working, which is exactly why it's so dangerous. Cylinder deactivation shuts off half the engine under light load, a V8 quietly running on 4 cylinders, a V6 on 3, and wakes them back up when you ask for power. It saves a little fuel on the highway and looks great on the efficiency rating. Here's the trouble nobody mentions at the dealership. The little lifters that collapse to switch those cylinders off are a known weak point, and when one sticks or fails, it can take out the camshaft and turn a fuel-saving gimmick into a torn-down engine. These engines are also notorious for burning oil as they cycle back and forth, and an engine running low on oil while it does that is an engine slowly eating itself. So do something for me right now. Next time you're near your car, pull the dipstick and actually look at it. If you're running a quart low between oil changes and your engine has this feature, that's not normal and it's not nothing. It's the first symptom of the exact failure I'm describing, whispering at you while there's still time to act. The fix is vigilance and the right oil. Check your level between changes instead of trusting the dashboard light. Never stretch the oil interval on an engine that deactivates cylinders, and use only the exact specification the manufacturer lists, because the wrong oil makes those lifters fail faster. Catch the oil consumption early, and you might spend a little. Ignore it, and the lifter and camshaft repair lands around $2,780. As bad as that is, it still isn't the number 1 offender, because the worst feature on this list isn't a part that fails. It's a sentence written to make you do nothing at all. Number 1, the lifetime fluid that was never meant to last. Here it is, the feature you can't see and can't touch, because not touching it is the whole point. Open the owner's manual on a lot of modern cars, and somewhere inside you'll find a sentence saying the transmission fluid is filled for life and never needs changing. Some of these transmissions don't even have a dipstick to check it with. That sentence is the most expensive lie in the book. Let me tell you what lifetime actually means. It means the life of the warranty, not the life of the car. Transmission fluid is oil, and oil breaks down with heat and miles like everything else does. The manufacturer knows that fluid won't survive 200,000 miles. They're simply betting the transmission outlasts the warranty, and what happens to you at 130,000 is your problem, not theirs. Sealing it up and deleting the dipstick isn't engineering. It's a way to make sure you never look. A delivery driver outside Kansas City learned this the hard way with his Malibu. He'd done everything the book asked, and the book told him the transmission was sealed and maintenance-free, so he never touched it. At 134,000 miles, it started slamming between gears. Then it quit pulling altogether. The fluid had cooked down to sludge years before, and the only repair left was a $5,340 rebuild. A proper fluid service every 50,000 miles would have cost him $214 a visit and saved the transmission outright. So here's the fix, and it's the most important thing I'll say in this whole video. Ignore the word lifetime. Have your transmission fluid changed every 50 to 60,000 miles. Sooner if you tow or crawl through heat and traffic, using the exact fluid your transmission calls for. Even the sealed units have a fill plug a good shop can service. The feature was designed so you do nothing, and doing nothing is the one thing that kills these transmissions. You beat it by refusing to believe the sentence. If this video showed you even one feature hiding in your own driveway, there's a whole side of this that most drivers never hear about. I just put up a video breaking down the maintenance every factory schedule conveniently leaves out. The services that decide whether your car dies at 150,000 miles or sails past 300,000. It's on the screen right now, over on the left. Don't wait for the next breakdown to wish you'd watched it. Go click it, and I'll see you over there.